show. And I am your host, Dalane England. Liberty Moms are the original Secretaries of Defense. We are the real defenders of the home front. And we have an amazing guest with us today. We are so excited. James Lindsay. If you don't know who James Lindsay is, you are living in a cave. It is time you get to know James Lindsay. James, welcome. We are so thrilled to have you here.
No, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So we're excited because James is actually coming to Utah really soon for the Utah Eagle Forum Convention. But James is it's just so fascinating. You are really not the typical person that you expect to be speaking at a convention about liberty because really you're a math professor, right?
I was a long time ago, yeah, but
Well,
my
right.
all my
That's
training
your
is in mathematics. That's right.
Okay, so why don't you tell us how you went from being a math professor to being on the front lines of fighting and standing for liberty?
Well, it's a long story, so I'll try to summarize it
Okay.
because it kind of just unfolded over a decade. But
Okay.
it started when I was finishing my last few years at the University of Tennessee teaching mathematics, and I didn't like the direction that the department was going with the lower level courses, which was basically keep the students in at all costs. Don't fail anybody. Don't give people bad grades. Don't lose their scholarships. Don't make them feel bad about themselves. And I thought, this is math. Math is hard. And if you're going to go on to be something like an engineer or a doctor, it's not okay to be incompetent at this. And I didn't want to continue participating in it. So I decided when I graduated to either go teach at the high school level or to do something completely different. And to go teach at the high school level required to go get proper teaching certificates and go through even more school. I thought, I've been in school 13 years. I'm not going to another year of college for this. And so I decided to do something completely different. I actually became a massage therapist, worked with my wife. She's also a
Really?
massage therapist, spent a decade licensed doing that professionally. But that gave me academic free time, so to speak. Rather than doing math, I got involved in discussion forums online, reading philosophy of science, and it got attacked by feminism. And this led me down a road of reading more and more and more of the academic literature in feminism and gender studies, race studies, ethnic studies, and it just kind of continued to snowball. Then in 2017 and 18, based on some of what my friend Peter and I were seeing, Peter Bogosian, were seeing in the academic literature, we decided these people need to be hoaxed. They need to be shown that what they're producing is fluff and nonsense, which, of course, with the Harvard scandal, now we're seeing kind of very close up. So in 2017 and 18, Peter and I, with a woman named Helen that we recruited, Helen Pluckrose, wrote 20 fake academic articles, or 21 actually, fake academic articles, submitted them to ranking journals, and a bunch of them got accepted. Some of them won awards. And we got kind of a under the hood look at this entire identity politics branch of academia. And in the middle of that, I went to my wife because I became so convinced that this stuff being institutionalized would be the unraveling of society. I went to my wife and asked if I could quit my job and dedicate myself full time to studying and exposing it. So since the end of 2017 or thereabouts, I haven't done anything except this professionally. I spend all of my waking time reading about it, writing about it, communicating about it, traveling to tell people about it, and have done since at least middle of 2017 or end of 2017.
Well, I think your choice of your wife shows not it shows your brilliance and your wisdom.
That's
She's
right.
amazing. I've never even met your wife, but I just love her. She is so great because I love how she was willing to stand by you, even when she thought you might be a little bit crazy.
Yeah, that's
And
exactly what she thought.
I love that. She's like, well, we'll give it a try. And, so I think it's really great.
Yeah,
So,
she asked me, "Can you make money doing that?" And I said, "I don't know." And then she said, "You get 18 months to figure that out." But being that she's really a woman, that meant 15 months.
yeah. And I love that she was like, 18 months is pretty generous. I would not have given my husband 18 months, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, she believed in me, and I was
Yeah.
pretty insistent that this was important. So, but she
Yeah.
she didn't believe that it was that big of a deal until maybe a year or two ago, maybe 2 years
Really?
ago. So well after she gave me this license to kind of chase this project, I guess. I don't want to call it a dream. It's not really fun reading communism
No,
every day.
it's not a dream. Nightmare, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, taking into consideration the recent economic struggles that Disney has been undergoing because of their woke ideology and the embrace. Now, do you believe that Disney was just ignorant and that they just didn't understand what they were doing when they are not appealing to their own customers? Or do you think that this is their ideology and that they made this decision knowing and that they were willing to make this decision to go woke anyway, despite
Um,
throwing their own customers under the bus?
Very little of the first, much more of the second, but there's actually a third explanation, which is that
Okay.
there's a financial incentive structure that's built for corporations. That's coordinated from huge entities like BlackRock, which is one of the largest index funds or pension fund managers in the world, managing something like $6 or $8 trillion worth of people's retirement funds, primarily in long-term asset management, but also in coordination with entities we hear a lot about, like the World Economic Forum, which is in partnership with the United Nations, which is in partnership with the CCP, that are all in league to create a set of financial incentives to remake the economic and corporate environment, financial environment. And I think Disney was partly had adopted the ideology. You can go visit, if you go to Florida, go visit Epcot Center and see some of the things that they put up in Epcot decades ago. So it's
Mhm.
partly their ideology. They've been bending that way in this kind of dreamy global remake the world in our own image sort of way. That's what Epcot Center was invented to be. But at the
Right.
same time, these financial incentives, at some point, the smelling salts at the tune of 40 or $50 billion start waving underneath your nose. And that's not what happened. Disney just continues to double down and double down and double down, which suggests that there must be some other set of incentives that are much stronger, steering the ship, because the shareholders don't have any power over a publicly traded company here, which means something else must be happening. And I think that these incentives in the I don't know what to call it other than the big globalist push from those entities that I named, World Economic Forum, CCP, United Nations, seem to be calling the shots for how these big corporations are behaving.
You explain that so articulately because I get so frustrated with big people that are saying, "Oh, Disney's so foolish. Like, how could they make this mistake? How could they be so stupid?" I'm like, "They are not stupid. These people are not stupid, and they know what they're doing. And you nailed it. Like, if they're not backing down. They're not going, okay, we made a bad decision. Let's fix it." And I'd say you would probably put Budweiser in the same category.
Absolutely. I mean, Budweiser, it's more or less known that they were chasing a number called the Corporate Equality Index that's published by the Human Rights Campaign. And the Human Rights Campaign uses that number to score corporations. And then entities like BlackRock and the World Economic Forum, probably BlackRock and Vanguard, these big banks in particular, use that to score with environmental, social, and governance. Well, social and governance policy are baked into those behaviors we saw at Bud Light, that we see at Disney, that we see in a lot of these big corporations. Charlie Munger was Warren Buffett's investment partner. He just recently died, and one of his very famous sayings from Charlie Munger was, "Show me the incentive, and I'll show you the outcome." And what we can derive from that is that there are sets of incentives pushing our corporations to do this. Corporations tend to be, for good or for evil, sometimes both, very utilitarian in their logic. Well, this means that there's some utilitarian logic that's pushing them. They make more money. They have a better place in a abstractly defined future. There are threats and pressures and whatever else. The investment environment in which they have to deal with the capital investments is all twisted around a different set of incentives. So if we look at the outcomes, we can make guesses about the incentives, kind of doing Munger's aphorism in reverse.
But you know what? You're so articulate, so well said. Excellent. You write a lot about cancel culture, and it is, a prevalent theme in your discussions and in your books. And so, would you mind addressing, like, how do you think it has evolved, and what do you believe are its repercussions on intellectual freedom and our public discourse?
Well, cancel culture is basically Maoist, like Mao Zedong from the CCP in China, 50 years ago. It's basically Maoist social pressure campaigns to force compliance and conformity. And what it's using, where Mao used the leverage of sending people to prison, humiliating them, chasing them out of their lives. what we're using in the West is to push people out of their livelihoods, in particular, their ability to have a job. So what we're doing, what cancel culture was, is this huge pressure campaign where somebody was accused, usually not even necessarily proven, of having committed some kind of a social crime that's not a real crime. They didn't commit a felony. They had some incorrect opinion or voiced something, and then a massive pressure campaign, a PR campaign, was put on their employers to get them out, just to get the pressure off. And that campaign was often external and then would bleed over into an internal campaign as well. I heard this from people I can't name who are CEOs of major companies, that the thing that they're primarily afraid of is that once the pressure campaign from the media and the popular front starts, what happens is that employees start coming and saying, my mom asked me how I can still work here given everything going on. And so all of a sudden you have this social leverage, and the company just wants to get the fire put out. They want to just make this go away. And so what happens is they start bending to the mob. But that's what it is it's mob rule to enforce a set of mostly social and cultural norms and policies, not legal policies, onto institutions with lots of power. The way it's developed is that through 2020 in particular, it was extraordinarily powerful. In the decade before that, it was extremely powerful in academia and education. But in the last year or two, people are very upset with it. People are kind of done with it. I'm kind of hearing reports from the inside that people are very frustrated with it. Corporations are kind of not turning over to it as easily as they used to. You see far fewer public apologies and humiliation struggle sessions. They still occur, but they're much more rare. It's kind of lost its power and lost its shine. And in fact, it seems like at this point, every time they attempt one, it just kind of gets worse. But what I'm starting to see is that there's a purity movement now within the conservative side, where I don't know why we've decided an election year is a good time for a purity spiral, but conservatives are starting to pressure one another to, idealistic visions of what it means to be conservative. So it seems like the poison is conceptually filtering out into other domains, but the pressure campaigns from the left have mostly lost their power.
Yeah. Okay, so you feel like we're actually making ground. So you feel like we really can win this fight.
Oh,
That it
yeah.
can
I've been
happen.
quite optimistic for about 2 years. I don't think we're going to have a smooth exit from these pressures. And I actually think that right now, the culture war issues, the identity politics in particular, are becoming a liability for the I don't know, the global left or something to call them, for lack of a better term. I usually refer to them as the masters of the universe, just as a kind of a tongue in cheek reference to how much power they
Right.
have.
Right.
But I think that the so-called woke identity politics stuff has actually become a liability for them, and they're needing to transition more into this environmental stuff, which doesn't
Mhm.
irritate people in the same way. Uh, but they're kind of stuck with this as well. I think in particular over the last 2 years, where they pushed so hard into the sexuality and sexuality with children, which was blatantly visible to everybody. I even talked to some family members the other day who are hardcore Democrats, and the one issue where they bend is say, I don't like the sexuality with the children. So they kind of lost the public's goodwill on the identity politics. And I think it's become a liability for them. But the shift is going to be to try to push into this environmental stuff.
Okay, so do you think that the DEI, do you think it will die, or do you think that the DIE, excuse me, do you think it will, or do you think that the critical race theory and DIE, do you think it's going to go underground, or do you think we will be able to get rid of it?
It's a hard thing to say. It will definitely try to rebrand. These people don't
Yes,
let go of power. Look at what happened with Claudine Gay. Then
yes,
Claudine Gay finally resigns after this like white knuckle struggle to keep power. And then all of a sudden she resigns, and what's happening? The media are coming out saying, "Oh, plagiarism's fine." You know, this is what
yes,
happens, and they're trying to play the whole race card, but it's just not working. If you look on social media, the reactions are pretty broad in terms of who's involved in them, and they're pretty vicious. People are not accepting the narratives this time. So DEI, I think, is actually in a very bad position. I know they've already tried to rebrand it as inclusive excellence, for example, and a couple of other terms that kind of bend into inclusion and
Right.
this and that.
Yes.
It's intrinsically part of the so-called sustainability program. So I have a feeling what they'll try to do is tuck it inside of a broader push for sustainability. So we have to have environmental sustainability, but we'll also need social sustainability. But I think they're actually going to probably try to back off of the direct DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion pushes being so explicit because, like I said, it's become a severe liability, especially in the wake of this huge battle at Harvard.
It would be nice to get rid of it, but I just don't think they're gonna let go that easily, and I
They
think
will
in
not.
my experience in the past, they rebrand it, they change the name, they make it sound like something different, and then bring it out and with new lipstick and a dress and make it sound like something really awesome, and people it takes them a while to identify it. So I think that we need to be really aware and cautious
That's
of,
right. We need to be vigilant on this,
yeah,
and
we
people are
do.
getting good at it. Actually, we're much better at this rebranding game than we were 3 years ago. And so the default when people see kind of buzzwords in general seems to be skepticism now instead of thinking, oh, well, it's just a new good thing. There seems to be a growing skepticism, and I'm encouraged by that.
You know, I am encouraged as well. I feel like more people are becoming more awake and aware, and people are getting more courageous to stand up. And the more courageous we are, the more courageous people will be. Because
That's
people
right.
need a leader. They're looking for someone to lead. They will follow if someone will take the first step. And you've been fantastic at that. Okay, I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about like a lot of states, including Utah, we passed laws to protect our children against transgender surgery, but also treatments and drugs. Do you feel like where do you think that's going? Do you feel like we're winning on that, or do you feel like they're, because of public schools? Do you think public schools are just going to keep pushing it? What do you see? What can we do, and what do you think is going to happen there?
Yeah, that's a very difficult issue. At the point of medical care, it's actually sort of a toss up now. On the one hand, we're starting to see what I do believe will become an avalanche of medical malpractice lawsuits, and I think that lawsuits are ultimately what is going to settle that at the level of medical treatment. On the other hand, the countermeasure is, for example, the American Psychological or Psychiatric Association, sorry, is publishing a new book on standards of care. They're explicitly sending out people to train judges to understand this issue from the woke perspective so that when these lawsuits come to court they get decided against. And so this is in my opinion, kind of a 50-50 battle, but we are making headway. Again, it horrifies a very broad segment of the population that are very concerned about it. The detransitioner voices are being elevated. I know that I'm aware personally of at least 3 documentaries being made about them right now, that which is a sign that the noise is starting to elevate around those voices who are telling the story of how they were misled and manipulated and then ultimately abused. As for the phenomenon to frankly to use the word they use, which is to queer children, to make them not homosexual or gay or any of this, but rather to adopt what's called a politics of opposition to the norm. Um, that's still in full force. It's happening in the schools, and it's happening primarily through groomers on social media. TikTok is probably the worst offender. Instagram, Tumblr is still kind of in the circuit. And what's happening is these kids are picking up these ideas, whether through social media, whether through entertainment media, or at the school itself. And then they're being funneled by the schools into clubs and into kind of affirmation programs. And their social environment is still very dicey. The need to protect kids from that is overwhelming, and that part we are not as far advanced on making progress as we are with the medical issue. But the medical issue is so blatantly barbaric that it's easier to get political will behind it. Of course, there's a gigantic ballot initiative in California right now, the Protect Kids CA. If that takes off and does well, um, if they can change this issue in California, it becomes a model to change this issue everywhere in the country. So there are some signs of hope, but we've got to do a lot of proactive stuff to protect our kids, sadly, from entertainment, social media, and most tragically, the schools so long as this stuff is still able to be pushed. I personally, not to shill, but I have a book coming out written mostly by another guy that I collaborated with named Logan Lansing, probably in March, titled The Queering of the American Child, to help parents and activists and things understand the issue better. So it's a work in progress. It is a crucial issue, though, for us to focus on and work hard on. We can't let this one go.
We cannot let this one go. I can't wait to read your book, because I think this is one of the most important issues that we're dealing with, is the environmental nonsense, because we do want to take care of our environment. That is very important. And we also do not want to, destroy lives in doing it. We want it to protect life, not destroy life. And also, and that is a way they are destroying life, is they're using our schools and our children, and it is just so heartbreaking, and we must protect our children. So I'm excited to read your book. I love how you lay things out as the problem, but you also lay out, here are some solutions. Here's a way to, and I think that solutions are the key. And I know you have been an amazing guest. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your service to us as individuals, and to our country, and literally to the world. You have great answers. So thank you so much. We all feel like we know you, because you spend a lot of time in our homes without even realizing it. So thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Well, thank you very much for having me. And since you mentioned that I spend all this time in your homes, I'll tell people how that happens. I have a
I was just going
podcast.
to ask you, please
Yeah.
tell us how we can listen to you and hear you and get your books. Thank you.
Yeah, the New Discourses podcast is the name of the podcast. So if you search New Discourses, you can go find that. It's a emblem is kind of a silver and black. It's a black background with a silver brain. Some people think it's a walnut, whatever. It's supposed to represent thinking, but you can find it. The website is newdiscourses.com. You can actually go to the website and find the portals to all the podcasts, plus articles and other materials. Search my name on YouTube, and you're going to find an awful lot of interviews and videos and talks that I've given as well. And so I encourage you to go check that out. I try to give these explanations as clearly as I can. I will brag on this book that I didn't write primarily, that it's much easier to read than most of the stuff I produce. So I'm getting a lot of positive feedback from a handful of people we've asked to read it early that are like, it's so easy to read. So that's a really good sign. And you can find all of those things listed. This book will be listed when it's ready to be listed. It's still a little premature on the website. So newdiscourses.com is the best place to find what I'm up to.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, James. Appreciate you. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us. Happy New Year. Thank you. Okay, that should give him time. Thank you so much, James. I'm really looking forward to getting you to. I mean, I did meet you at the Eagle Forum convention,
Right.
briefly, but I just really, you just done so much great stuff. So it is fun. I mean, we all feel like, whenever I talk to my friends, like, we all feel like we're all friends with you, because everybody.
I hear
feels
that
like
a lot, actually.
of course you do, because your voice, you're talking to us in our homes and in our work all the time, and you're just.
A lot of people tell me that they listen to me when they're going to sleep, and it's like, so they feel like they have to take a nap when they start talking to me, because it's like I'm talking them to bed.
A cure for insomnia. James, I am honored to see your face here. I really appreciate it. And I've been following you since the grievance studies with Peter Boghossian and Helen Pluckrose, and it's like, it's amazing to me what you've done.
Thank you.
Okay,
It is amazing.
It's amazing.
At 25 years old, like being a professor and then being a massage therapist for 10 years and then doing all this, and you're still 25.
I'm always 25. Yeah. No, I'm in my 40s now, and let me tell you,
You still look like you're 25.
Yeah, no, I'll be 45 this year. So
oh, wow,
those last 20 years have been kind to me.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, awesome.
Well, I've battled since 1980, when I was a communist. Okay, 1971 was really when I started, but it's been a long battle, and
it's a forever battle, really.
It's a forever battle. It is a forever battle. It's never going to go away.
I moved to Utah. Moved to Utah from California, and I thought, I'm moving to this nice, safe red zone, and I found out otherwise. It's bad.
Utah's in trouble.
I got no place left to run.
Nope.
Yep.
We got to stand and fight.
Well,
Or
thanks so
fighting.
much for taking time with us, James. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I look
Squeezing
forward to
us in
seeing
here.
you guys this weekend.
And we'll see you soon. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll meet you at the hotel.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks so
Yep.
much. Appreciate you. Okay, see ya.
Yep. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Or good afternoon, I guess.
Well, yeah, it is now. Thank you. Thanks, Dwayne.
You are welcome. That was
Thanks so much.
awesome. That was awesome. You're the kind of person we need here, Dalane. You did a great interview.
I wasn't
And-
really very prepared because I didn't get his bio, but I didn't really want to spend a lot of time on his bio.
No, but that's okay because we got to get the word out. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
we're-
Well, he'll,
I mean,
yeah.
the motto
I
is
think
giving
we'll-
Utah
I
a
think
voice.
we can get him on again.
I'm
know,
sure we can. And what we're going to do with this is we're going to build it. Right now, I mean, we had a couple of people listening, but mainly our staff. Okay, but we're going to get to all of the Patriot groups, have them start blasting this out, and
Yeah.
we want a big we want to defeat the Salt Lake Trib and the Deseret News and KSL, and that's where we're going with this. That's where we're going.
That's awesome. That's what we want.
We're going to invite you to a couple of meetings because this is the best interview I've seen.
Thank you. Wow,
do
you're too
well.
nice.
No, I'm serious. People don't know how to do this, okay? And one of the things Doug's going to do, he did the training for all of, who was the lady? I forget. One of the news broadcasters. I'm drawing a blank, but he did the training for them years ago, and he's going to do that with all of us. He's going to teach us how to do this right. But I don't think you need any training. You
No, I do. I love training. I would love training. I mean, we can always do better. I just want to improve and do better. Yeah, absolutely. I'd love training.
Okay. Well, that's what we're going to do. We're going to build
Great.
this. And I've already got, starting next week, I've got 5 days a week, 4 hours a day scheduled.
Okay.
And we're going to slide you in somewhere, probably Thursdays.
Great.
Okay.
Right. And if I would like, I did want to ask you guys about, I really would like to teach, like take segments, just like 20 minutes or half an hour, and teach a principle of the Constitution.
Perfect.
If that's okay, because it's not an interview, but I feel like the 3/5 clause, people do not understand the 3/5 clause. They think it's racist, and it's totally anti-racist. I'd like to teach that. Teach a little bit about federalism so people understand this separation, so they can kind of understand.
Nobody knows about the Constitution. They just
They
don't.
don't. But I think if we teach it in short, 20, 30-minute segments, keep it interesting, tell some stories, I think people can learn about it, and it's not hard. And they
It's
think
hard.
they're surprised how interesting the Constitution is.
Well, and I look at it, and it's it's this 50-page document. I carry my little book around all the time, and I'm going, this is not difficult. It's not difficult.
It's 4,500 words.
Yeah, and
it's
you look at,
simple.
well, and you look at some of the legislation that's hundreds of pages, and I just go, that's just all wrong.
Oh, I know it. Yeah, 500
right.
bills every year. Okay. Thank
I've
you.
got to go. You
Great.
did beautifully. This is
Thank you.
perfect.
You're very nice.
And I'll get you a copy of the interview. Okay.
Okay, great.
The whole thing,
Great.
and you can edit it. You can put it up. We can do all kinds of things with it.
Okay,
You
great.
were live on X, Twitter, and YouTube, and our Rumble channel, and our website. Okay.
Wow.
Well,
Okay.
that's what the beauty of this platform is.
Yeah.
I can
That is
stream
awesome.
anyone. Okay. So I mean, let's fight.
Okay.
I'm here to
Thanks,
fight.
Dwayne. Thank
All
you
right.
so
Talk to
much.
you later.
Appreciate you.
Bye-bye.
Have a great day. Okay.